Hey everyone, it's Michael GoosebumpsFan. I hope you're doing well today. I have another Goosebumps episode review for you for a book that I read like a month ago. I'll be honest with you, when I watched this, I remember the general premise, a lot of the events and whatever, and I just couldn't get around to watching the episode. And I'll be honest with you, the ending twist kind of took me by surprise again because I totally forgot about what happened at the end of the book. And that happens a lot with a lot of Goosebumps books. It's kind of the fun of them. They fly by pretty quick, then you come back around and read them again in the future, and you're like, oh, I forgot this, this, and this. And it's kind of like watching them or reading them for the first time again. Anyway, I've never seen this particular episode. I'd never read the book when I read it about a month ago. And I cannot believe how good and how scary this episode was. I watched it in this bootleg box set that I've shown you guys a billion times over that I got off eBay about a couple of years ago, I think is what it was. Anyway, this episode is Season 1, Episode 4, so it's pretty early on in the show. This is The Girl Who Cried Monster, and premiered on November 11th, 1995, directed by John Bell, who I don't remember if he did like anything else Goosebumps. I'm going to look that up real quick on IMDb, just to be on the safe side, because I'm fairly certain that I don't remember anything else he did. It says 7 episodes. Oh, okay. He did quite a few of them. The Cuckoo Clock of Doom, Girl Who Cried Monster, obviously, Phantom of the Auditorium, Return of the Mummy, Bad Hair Day, Don't Go to Sleep, and Click. This is dark. Real dark. I'm going to be honest with you. I love this episode. Now, I really thoroughly enjoyed the book. I think the book was excellent. Excellent. And I highly recommend it if you haven't read it before. If you're a big fan of the classic era, if you're a 90s kid or whatever, and you were a Goosebumps fan back in the day, and let's say you haven't read that one, but you've heard all the buzz about it for all these years and you just haven't checked it out, The Girl Who Cried Monster is a really great book. This is a fantastic episode adaptation of that, if not better than the book possibly. Yeah, it's 20 minutes long. It's a single episode by itself. These episodes aren't long, it's kids' TV. Yes, well, this episode is not so much to me. A lot of these episodes are kind of lower budget. This episode I don't think is as low budget as a lot of them. It's not something on par with like Attack of the Lawn Gnomes or what was it called? Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes. It's not like on that level of kind of low budget feel to it. Which, to be fair, that's going for more of a comedic tongue-in-cheek type of feeling. This is not doing that. This is going more for the root of, we want to scare the hell out of kids. And I'm going to tell you right now, I never saw these episodes as they premiered when I was a kid. I will say this. If I had seen this episode as a child, it would have scared the living hell out of me. So if you happen to be a kid, or if you happen to be an adult who is a Goosebumps fan who does not remember much of this show or this particular episode, you need to be careful if you watch this with your kid or show it to them, because I feel like this would have given me nightmares as a child. There are particular episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark from Nickelodeon from back in the day that I remember seeing when I was a kid that scared the crap out of me, that scared me so bad. And they scared me so bad that I remember them to this day, and when I look back at those episodes, it surprises me how much it stuck with me all these years and how much it traumatized me at the time, even though I grew up on like Halloween from John Carpenter and Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th movies. Even though Chucky scared me really bad as a child. I don't know why, but it did. Anyway, so this is a great episode. If you haven't seen it before, the general premise of the book and the episode, because they're very similar, pretty much identical in a lot of ways with a couple of changes to shorten the story out. Essentially, there's a young girl who's part of this thing. It's a program at a library, not like a school library, but just like a local library type of thing. Maybe even a private library, the way it seemed to me in the book, even though it's not so much stated here. She's part of a program called Reading Rangers, which is odd in the episode, because in the book I assume that even though it's kind of a one-on-one thing with a teacher, or not a teacher, but the librarian, Mr. Mortman, I kind of assume that there is kind of a group of kids that are part of this program that would be at the library at the same time, but in the book, a lot of the time, the main character is by herself in the library, which adds this eerie atmosphere to that story, even though she has like a best friend character and all that. Now, in the episode, it's literally like you just sit down with that librarian out of the time that I don't know how he would have the time to do this, but you sit down with him and discuss the book you read. Now, our main character loves monsters. She has a little brother. She loves to scare the hell out of him with scary stories and whatever. And she loves to pull pranks on him to freak him out. And here, the kid they played or the picked to play her little brother, is hilarious. He has some moments where he's such a brat, but he's genuinely funny. I liked him a lot here. The main actress girl playing the main character, she did really good too. I really liked her. This obsession with monsters is pretty fun. You know, she hates the book Black Beauty because of, you know, there's not really a monster focus in there. She picks up Frankenstein, which I read Frankenstein recently, just because she wants a monster book. Mr. Mortman, the casting for this guy, I gotta bring up his name. Of course, he's the librarian at this particular place. He's played by Eugene Lipinski. And let's see, what is he in? Because I gotta know. Apparently he worked on some of the other Not a Living Dummy episodes. He worked on Arrow, Superman 2, Indiana Jones, Superman 4. I don't know who he played, but he's in a lot of these. This guy, he's amazing. He's so creepy, and just there's this undercurrent of John Wayne Gacy pedophile scariness to this guy in this episode. He is so scary. If we had done episodes that were not based on books, this guy should have been brought back. There is something about his performance that is just so... I don't even know the word. It scares me. There's something about it. It's so good, and you can't stop watching this guy with whatever weird accent he has. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a fake British accent or what, or if it's some kind of like South African accent. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the way he speaks, the very, very slow nature, that down tempo, trying to drop these subtle hints. It reminds me of Donald Pleasance in certain roles that he did. It's scary. He's creepy. And I'll tell you this too, Mr. Mortman, the young girl, of course, when she goes to the library one day, she kind of, is hanging out in there, and he thinks she is gone. He starts to feed his pets. He has pet tarantulas, and he has little crickets and stuff that he feeds those tarantulas. And of course in the book it's turtles and some other things. I think he had some spiders too. But in the book, there's a really horrific scene. It's quick, but it's horrifically gruesome. And I would say partially gory, but it's mostly your imagination. It's kind of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Halloween syndrome. You think it's more gory than it actually is, but it's still horrific. It's still horrific to think about. The book had some moments like this. In this episode, he just has tarantula pets. And she sees him feeding these crickets to those tarantulas. And then she sees him take a big old handful of crickets and start eating them. And I'm going to tell you, I thought they were... I'm fairly certain that maybe he had like a couple of fake ones on his hand that he ate while there were real crickets crawling around on his hand. But dude, it got to me horrifically. I just can't even fathom the idea of eating bugs. People probably did that back in the day. And John the Baptist did that. I can't do it. Could not do that. But however, when he's eating these crickets... he turns into a monster in front of our main character. And this is kind of where that, again, the title comes in, Boy Who Cried, or Girl Who Cried Monster, Boy Cried Wolf type of storyline, right? That's kind of the typical message of this with a nice little spin on it. I really like that. The twist ending is really good. But she starts to tell everybody, hey, Mr. Mortman's a monster. No one believes her. Not her best friend, not her family, no one. And her parents are kind of sick of her whole monster thing too, so they just kind of ignore her. But when she sees Mr. Mortman transform, again, when I say this is a scary episode that would have freaked me out as a child, I mean that, because, like, he turns into this thing that's a little bit different from what I remember they kind of described him as in the book. His brain is, like, thumping inside of his head, the texture of his head changes and stuff, it gets a little bit bigger, and his eyes turn into these, like, things that, like, grow out of his head, and turn into these black circles. Dude, it is horrific. Because there is one point where you see like the eyes go like that. And it is horrific. It would have scared me to death as a child. I could just imagine the wonderful nightmares I would have had from this. But again, with his performance, with that makeup and those animatronic effects on the head with the eyes moving around and stuff, I just can't even fathom how this made it to TV for kids. It shocks me. Kids WB, I think, is whoever... or no, Fox Kids. Fox Kids made this back in the day. I don't know how in the world this got through the censors and stuff. It amazes me, and I'm glad. And it makes me miss 1990s TV for kids because they had fun things that would challenge kids. Darker shows like Batman the Animated Series would have never been made now. Never, because they would have said it's too challenging for kids or too dark for kids. Shut up. You're ruining TV, is what you're doing. You're censoring TV, frankly, and you don't know what you're doing. And you see how it's a classic now, a lot of those things. Goosebumps, Batman the Animated Series, even though they're not on the same quality of par. Yeah, so, I love this episode. It's mostly, again, The Boy Who Cried Wolf being retold, and it's got a great twist ending that I really like. I think it works pretty well in the book. I think it works pretty well here. Comes out of nowhere, frankly. But it works better to me than something like Welcome to Camp Nightmare's ending, which I think is kind of too far out of nowhere. I don't know. It just kind of ruins that story for me. It doesn't ruin this one, even though it's a little bit different. I really like The Girl Who Cried Monster. I think it's a great episode, great book, highly recommended. Really enjoyed this. And then I want to put one little note left. Well, a couple of notes. One is that the directing style of this is brilliant. It looks dark. Everybody's kind of in shadows the entire episode, whether it be in the library, whether it be at our main character's home with her parents. Yeah, everybody's kind of just in the shadows. The other thing I want to praise tremendously that I think added so much atmosphere and eeriness and unsettling feeling to this episode is the music. The score of this episode is just plain out creepy. There's just something about it. Dude, when I go through to rewatch these in the future, this is going to be one of the ones that I have never seen as a kid that I cannot wait to go back and rewatch because of how effective it was. And let me tell you this, I read Calling All Creeps, just reviewed it yesterday. I'm wearing the same shirt because I just took it off after I finished recording on that episode. So there you go. That happens sometimes too, guys. The magic of YouTube. I read Calling All Creeps, just reviewed it yesterday, and you're going to see the video today alongside with this one and the review for that episode adaptation. So I need to watch Calling All Creeps, and I haven't watched it just yet. I will tell you this, if it tops this episode, I would be shocked. If I got 2 really great Goosebumps episodes in one day, I would be shocked. Now mind you, I loved the book of Calling All Creeps. It was great, really good read. Recommend that as well. But to go from this episode, The Girl Who Cried Monster, to that, Calling All Creeps, I don't know how it could go from that kind of quality over to Calling All Creeps. I don't see it carrying over. I don't see the budget carrying over to that. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm hopeful. But man, this was good. This is a great way to start the day off with something different to watch or just to enjoy on TV or whatever. Anyway, what are your thoughts on The Girl Who Cried Monster? Do you love the book? Do you love the episode? Which one do you love more? Do you hate them both? What do you think? I'd love to hear all that down below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? If I had to rate this one on a 5-star basis, dude, there is no doubt that this is like a 5 out of 5 episode for me. This is so good. It's great. There's very few flaws in here. Maybe a couple of ADR issues, but that's really it. Nothing too big. I loved it. I genuinely love this, and I think it's powerful and scary and fun. It just had so much to offer, and I recommend it highly if you haven't seen it before. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Put them down below, guys. Thank you for watching. God bless you. And I would love to see you guys subscribe and comment and all that stuff to let me know down below what you think. Again, sorry for disappearing for so long. Just had a lot of other things I wanted to do. Wasn't really in a Goosebumps mood. Just been kind of busy with some other ideas I wanted to work on some other channels and stuff. And kind of burn out on that too. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for watching once again. God bless you again. Goodbye.